With over 100 different tanks to play, it is no surprise that Arresto is constantly getting updates, balances, or nerfs to keep the game as fair as possible. With so many tanks to choose from, it can definitely be difficult to find which tanks are the best. So today, I've made a list of the top 10 Arresto tanks. Enjoy the video. Before we get into this list, I want to note that due to the large discrepancies between TDM and open modes, it is difficult to make an accurate list encompassing both. Certain tanks, such as say the Overlord, can be quite difficult to play in a mode like FFA, but it can be really powerful in a TDM mode. Due to this, I decided to make this list to be the tanks that are best in TDM modes. With that said, let's get into it. The number 10 tank on this list is the Autocruiser. The Autocruiser is an annoying tank to defend against, due to the combination of the ability to control its drones, as well as its constant damage output. Against non-bullet spammer tanks and low health builds, the Autocruiser can be exceptionally powerful, although its damage can be a bit low against higher health builds. It can also be exceptionally hard to steal from as a tank due to its high amount of drones. Its weakness is definitely its almost non-existent defense, as well as its sometimes low penetration and damage output. However, the auto turret is pretty good at covering for this weakness. This, combined with its large field of view, gives it a decent defense and can be extremely annoying for low FOV tanks, due to its large range because of this. Auto turrets can be a significant asset for both offense and defense, as we can see in the Auto Builder, the 9th best Arresto tank. The Auto Builder is on this list, due to its high damage potential. Its builder bullets do a large amount of damage and have a high penetration, allowing more stats to be put into health and movement speed, as well as other attributes. What makes this better than a tank like the Annihilator is that the auto turret helps do damage as well as protect against other attackers. While at times this tank can be slow to score with, it can be very difficult to kill and has a high damage output, earning itself a spot on this list. Which brings us to the number 8 spot, the Falcon. I haven't really played this tank much, but from playing against other people using this tank, it can be extremely good when used correctly. Its large field of view gives it a large range and warning for attackers, and the movement speed of the back turrets can help deal with triangle and rammer classes, the weakness of normal snipers. This combination can make Falcon a deadly tank when used correctly. This high field of view is a feature also shared with the number 7 tank on this list, the Gunner Trapper. Personally, this is a tank I suck at, but having seen many insane scores with this tank, I felt like I had to put this on the list. Its high FOV and movement speed can make it very difficult to kill, although it does have some low defense and low damage output. Its long range, field of view, and movement speed due to knockback can make it incredibly powerful if used correctly. Which brings us to number 6, the Auto Spawner. The extremely high health of the spawner drones, combined with insane drone speed, as well as the bullets shot from the drones, can make the Auto Spawner particularly difficult to counter. The damage output of the drones can be quite high and difficult to counter with any tank. While the drones can be difficult to control, when mastered this tank can be extremely difficult to kill, and the auto turret provides even more damage and defense against attackers. While this tank is reliant on your personal drone control, the ability of unrestricted movement for the drones makes this tank easily one of the best in the game, taking the 6th spot on this list. This ability to completely control the movement of drones requires a lot of practice to master, but due to the freedom it offers, it can allow for a high degree of skill, range for attacks, and precision. Drones can also combine offense and defense into one, as they can both block bullets and deal damage at the same time. Combining all this, drones are some of the most powerful TDM tanks when used correctly, which brings us to the 5th best Arresto tank, the Overdrive. While the Overdrive is arguably only a slightly better overseer, the power of drones makes this one of the best tanks in the game, and this tank definitely deserves a spot on its list. While our number 4 tank is a bit of a departure from drone tanks, it definitely deserves a place high on this list. Streamliner has a huge FOV, constant damage output, and a high movement speed due to its knockback. This reduces many of its weaknesses, and its constant damage output can make it very difficult to dodge. When used correctly, Streamliner can be almost impossible to kill, both being able to avoid attacks due to high speed, and having enough range to still damage other tanks. Being the only tank to have a 5 million score recorded in every game mode, Streamliner easily earns itself a place on this list. But even this tank pales in comparison to the top 3 tanks. But before we get into it, let me talk about some honourable mentions that were close to being included but didn't quite make the cut. The Manager is another one of the best tanks for TDM, but didn't make the cut due to many other drone classes just frankly being better than it. Most of the time, the invisibility feature isn't that useful, making it at times just a low reload drone tank. The Ranger is also significantly powerful in teams due to its high field of view, however it both requires good aim and has low defense and damage output, making it just fall off this list. The Auto Double is one of the best tanks for damage output in the game, making it quite powerful for open modes, however in TDM it can be difficult to score and quite weak against sweeps and other attacks. With those honourable mentions out of the way, let's get to the top 3 tanks in Arras.io. Starting at number 3, we have the Overlord. A staple for both DEP and Arras players, the Overlord is undeniably one of the most played tanks in the game, and this is for good reason. As I mentioned before, the ability to control drones can be way too powerful due to its versatility, range, penetration, and control. The reason why Overlord sits above tanks such as the Overdrive is due to its high reload, overall making it easily the 3rd best tank in the game. Once you learn controls such as when to use repel, auto fire, and other tricks, you can easily score high scores with Overlord almost every time. But the Overlord falls behind our 2nd best tank, the Auto Assassin. The Auto Assassin has one of the highest fields of view in the game, giving it insane range, and its high penetration and auto turret covers against most of its weaknesses. While without aim, it can be slow to play, the auto turret aims for you, and its high damage output even makes it powerful at close range. Honestly, there's not much more I need to say about this tank, and it is easily one of the best tanks in the game. Which brings us to the best Arras.io tank. The Auto Overseer is easily the best tank in the game, being a more powerful version of the Overlord. It shares all the same benefits, although with less reload, but the auto turret makes it incredibly powerful. Holding the highest ever Arras scores in the game, there is no doubt that it is the best TDM tank.